Hey everyone! We're here with HangOutlander. I'm Nikki, and we will be talking about this week's episode, the penultimate episode. I love that word. Uh, oh, my thing just started playing in my ear. We will be talking about episode 312, and it's called the Bakra, which we will talk about the definition in just a little bit. But I'm Nikki, and I couldn't think of a funnier thing than something I already wrote. So I wrote The Witch is Back. I'm very excited to see Galis, and we will talk a lot about her soon. Becca, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Becca. I'm funny 50% of the time, if that's normal, which is a cup that I have. It's only meant for me. It's supposed to offend me. Just kidding. It's not offensive at all. We all have these cups. And I'm drinking tea tonight, which is not usual. There's no whiskey in here. And my tagline for the night is the line that made me laugh the funniest from Nikki's recap this week. Meanwhile, over on the Black Sails Nassau set, yeah, that's all I have to say right now. I just finished the episode approximately 7 minutes ago, so it's very fresh. Heidi?
Hey guys, it's Heidi. Excited to be back with you guys. I am drinking, I have some vodka and cranberry mixed in here. We'll see, with one of my children's plastic straws. It's very classy. We usually have we call them monkey yogurts. I don't know what they're actually called, but they have the monkeys on them. My kids stab the straw and they go everywhere. That's what those straws are for. That's a story none of you needed to know. I'm excited about talking about Outlander tonight. My tagline is David Barry Fan Club because he was top notch this episode, and that's it from me.
Can you remind me who that is?
That is Lord John Grey.
Okay. I'm jealous. That's a really good tagline.
Why, thank you. Don't only took me 10 minutes. On to Beth.
Hey guys, my tagline is related, and I didn't read your tagline, but I'm here for the Lord John Grey sequels. If we can find somebody to write them, because that was a great time. I'm Beth, by the way. I'm having a Dr. Pepper, and I'm very excited about this episode. I want to talk about the Bakra, and we need to discuss specifically the Bakra itself and head bitch in charge, writer DG's recent tweet.
Yeah, so what was that?
To Outlander
You guys
stars.
were talking about it over text, and I didn't quite catch it. So catch us up. What did we miss?
Our good friend Dougalsbeard, aka Karen, sent us this text that writer DG or tweet that writer DG Diana sent out, and it said it was in response to the official Outlander Stars Twitter, which said Bakra means boss, and it had like a gif, I think, of Galis or something like that. And she just said, that's not what it means. And we lost our minds because it was so great.
Well,
I love it when she does that.
Who at Stars, if they didn't know what that meant, didn't just go to Google?
Right.
Don't just make some shit up. I mean, the boss.
Well, and it means, there's a couple definitions, right? But it means like slave boss, right? Like slave driver.
Slave owner.
What is it? What is the pronunciation?
Bakra. I think it's like supposed to say like back raw.
Yeah.
Like your back is raw from being.
I mean, it's also like, it means white person.
Yeah.
Right.
Dialect or whatever, but like, yeah, also like the back raw thing is like something it could mean. But I mean, officially, they named it. I watched the little producer tidbit at the end of the episode.
Accidentally.
This time. They named the episode the Bakra, and they put that in the episode specifically because they didn't want to reveal Galis right away. So they wanted to give her a name, which I would assume that they would have done something like bitch or, mistress or something that just didn't give away who it was. Although I guess giving away her gender would also kind of be a problem. But even saying like, the boss would have made more sense in terms of because they thought it meant boss. Tony Graffia, the writer and producer, executive producer, was sitting there saying, it means the boss. So that's why we used it. And that's not what it means. Not at all.
Who told them that? Literally the number one result on Google is it means oppressive white person of British descent. And the number two is slave master.
Like, the producer said it was boss too?
in the little producer snippet, she says that's why they used it. They wanted to be able to like reveal Galus later on, but referring to her on the boat and prior to and all that kind of stuff. So to do that, they had to come up with something to call for her, the sailors and the boys to call her. And she said it means boss. And my other thought on that is not only is that ridiculous, but Diana would have seen the script and the dailies and the title of this episode. Like, still, she was like shady enough to just talk about it in a tweet from Outlander Stars today.
Outlander Stars deleted their tweet. I just looked right now. It's gone.
That's the best
So
part.
like,
Oh, God.
no, that's like worse than anything. Like, at least be like, whoops, we called it the wrong thing. Like, make fun of yourself.
Are they
Stuff
going to delete
happens.
the producers?
I know.
Are they going to
You gotta
the
delete
video?
that last 10 minutes of what's uploaded on Stars right now.
No one has Google in Scotland at whatever the studios are called.
To be fair, a
Like,
slave owner, I guess, is considered the boss, but I don't think that's what they're trying to go for. I don't
that's
think
some
the script.
whitewashing. Come
Yeah.
on now.
Right.
Speaking of whitewashing this whole episode, but go ahead.
Like, well, we'll get there. Emma on YouTube asked, was the Bakra even that term used in the book? I believe it's no. It wasn't used.
No, I
Made
think
up
they
for the
made it
show.
up for the show. Yeah. Yeah.
And that is the
Um,
boat's name as well? Or no. It's
Hmm?
not
Is
the
it who?
boat's name. It wasn't the boat that took
No,
It's
that
not
was
awesome.
The Bruja.
the boot. Yeah, okay.
Bruja.
Getting very confused. All the words, all the different hashtags we have to use every week. I don't remember. Oh yeah, Nikki just mentioned the YouTube. You guys should know this is old hat by now, but we're on YouTube. You can leave comments. There's always a very rousing conversation happening over there, which is awesome. And then obviously the hashtag HangOutlander on Twitter. And we always pick a winner from somebody who's interacted us with from either YouTube or from Twitter. So hang out with us online in the comments. Make a friend.
Yes. And also obviously on Twitter, if you're using hashtag HangOutlander,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to look at that. And Vicky Fraser, she's at VE Fraser, just said, is it me or does Matthew B. Roberts always come across as kind of not knowing what he's talking about in these end of the episode talks?
It's not just you.
Vicky, it's not just you. It's Matthew himself.
Not you.
And I think we could go into this really quickly. Like, I hate to say a lot about how I feel about the way that the show's being executive produced, but those little end of the episode, we've talked about them several times because they are very telling when you think about it, how things are going. And I kind of looked up Matthew's resume, like his writing credits, like prior to, it's not very, very long. And he's executive producing this whole show. I mean, I guess like being under Ron for the first season is considered a whole lot of like experience. I don't really know how writing in Hollywood works, but like, I don't know. The guy writing The Crown also wrote, The Queen and like a bunch of like really important movies. And he's writing The Crown. The Crown's really good. It's like, I don't understand how it works.
Right. I need to
And why the show.
I want to take
Go
a
ahead.
deep dive into the IMDb of the different writers and just see, the background, the experience, if you will. I think it would reveal
I
a lot.
did. So I'm saying, like, I did. It wasn't a deep dive because it's a very shallow pool.
That's not to
You
say
went
that
more than Matt Roberts.
there's not like good up and coming writers. Someone has to start somewhere. But I think the point is like there should be like a mix of like experienced people versus like newbies versus,
I guess my biggest problem is that the whole structure of the show right now and like the hands that it's in, I would consider what I seem to think are kind of inexperienced hands in terms of
Right.
writing versus
and you mean
like
more specifically the producer too.
the
like he's an
showrunners,
executive
like,
producer, not just a writer.
yes.
Right.
Like I think Matt is acting showrunner right now, or Matt and Tony together, and I just felt like I was like, well, maybe that's why the past two seasons have felt not as good as the first. And I just think it's fine to have writers. I mean, Matt wrote some of the best episodes of season one, hands down. He wrote The Reckoning and like a couple of others that were really, really great. And so I don't think he's a poor or subpar writer, but maybe as a showrunner, there's a lot missing there. There's just like maybe an experience. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm on the internet doing nothing. But anyway, that's my thought.
You're just an educator of little humans.
Yes.
She's a homeschool mom.
Homeschool mom. Oh God.
Now, someone mentioned that Ron was at the end of the episode talking about clothes. That happened.
That's all he talks about. It's the only thing he knows anything
Is
about.
is it just because Terry comes home and is like, you need to talk about the silk and the embroidery, and that's all you know because you're actually off doing other things?
Yeah, I don't think he's show running the show. Is he technically the showrunner?
He's
technically
producer.
the exec producer, but so are they, and he's not there.
He's not there. So I think that is literally all he knows is what his wife is telling him.
I've only watched 2 or 3 of those, like those little end caps. And on the ones that I've watched, he's talked about costumes, and that's the only thing he brought to the table. So this little end cap of talking like behind the scenes look at the episode talked about 2 things: the Bakra and bringing Galus back, and the costumes, because that's what he brought up. It's like a minute and a half or something like that. But we could have not talked about the costumes. We could have talked about Lord John Grey. We could have talked about slavery. We could have talked about Jamaica and like a million other things. And we talked about the costumes because that's all he knew about.
I like that our Twitter followers do our job better than we do, because Jess _273 said her 1-sentence summary, because we apparently forgot that we used to do those for this week, was really wish we had just spent this entire episode outside with Fergus and Marcelly. Which actually, yeah, their chemistry is pretty killer. Makes you forget that he's like 15 years older than her.
In real life? Or the character?
The character.
What?
Yeah, he's like in his 30s.
30? Oh, that makes me feel gross.
I know.
Was like still kind of teenish.
No, because it was around 20 years ago, remember?
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, Fergus is 30, she's 15.
Oh, that's an unfortunate realization, because they were the best part. Well,
I know.
They were adorable. It was very cute.
So cute. And that Lauren girl is really good.
Is that
Marcelly?
Marcelly?
Yeah, Lauren Lyle. She was great.
Stop saying the real people's names.
Apparently that's what I do. I say the real name.
Once Graham McTavish left, I forgot all the others.
Don't talk about Graham dying, because
should we talk about the other
newsy
newsy item? Is that there is rumors that they're signing on for a 5th season already?
I thought we weren't going to discuss that.
Oh, we aren't?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I just wrote notes. That was in my note. Should we talk about that?
I was just kidding.
Yeah,
no,
our good buddy Chris Parnell brought that to light.
In a podcast or something, right? With Lynette Rice.
Ugh, yes.
And it's not confirmed. They're just like in talks. And he probably said it because that gets fans excited, and therefore people who make decisions are like, oh, people want this to happen.
Yeah, and I don't think that they're going to not do it. I think he wouldn't have said that, and the Stars people don't seem to really have like a good grasp on what they're doing in terms of
programming.
Their lineup. I don't think that their lineup is necessarily like good, so I don't think they're going to let Outlander go. Yeah.
Although that preview they played for that dual personality show where there's another world and you have a twin. You want to talk about that? That looked good. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Was that just on my previews for Stars?
Oh,
okay.
I don't watch Stars.
I haven't seen that.
You don't watch? Guys, we're watching the show. There's no previews on yours? All right.
I'm shocked they haven't sent us like 40 emails about a new show.
Yeah.
For real.
There is
crazy. Someone's falling down on the job over there.
It's the same person who deleted that tweet.
They've got too many jobs. They're tweeting.
They're no longer the boss over there.
They've been falling down on the job since the beginning. I remember the very first joke I ever made about Jamie Fraser being cast was that it was like some intern who burnt coffee had like accidentally hit the tweet button on the fact that he'd been cast, and it was too early. Like they just shot their wad too early.
Right.
And like our one friend from the production at the time was like, it wasn't an intern. That didn't happen. And I was like, I know, it's a fucking joke. Like we're just being stupid. But whatever.
What were you going to say, Heidi?
I was wondering, do you guys remember a few Outlanders ago, we talked about a rumor that Meryl and going back to the producer's conversation, that Meryl and Matt are dating. Is that a thing or is that true?
I thought Matt was married.
Because that to me explains a little bit.
Did you just say they're married? They're married?
No.
Matt. I think Matt is married.
Oh.
To not Meryl?
Oh, to another woman. Or man or whatever.
Well, from what we said when we talked about it on HangOutlander, a bunch of people online were like, yeah, they've been together since season 1.
Wow.
I had never heard that before.
Does anybody have any photograph proof that Meryl, do we need to start like the shipping of Meryl and Matt just to get some pictures out there? Just send us just a tweet.
Go ahead.
Am I echoing? Is that me?
No, you're good.
Okay. No, so that was just the rumor. And to me, that would explain a little bit about the level of freedom he has. But if it's just a rumor, then what am I don't know what I'm talking about. You know.
Yeah, the bunch of people were like, yes, that's a thing. But I literally had never heard that before. And I thought, if that's a thing, we would know about it.
Yeah, true. But
if
as far
it's true, send us some sort of like picture or news item or proof, because I want to see it. Pour the tea.
Going back to the Bakra title, though, and how they were trying to keep Galis a secret, I thought they did that well. Am I just out of the loop on Outlander news? Or that to me, that was, if I hadn't read the books, that would have been a shock to me that it was her. Would that have, yes, accurate? Yeah. They kept that secret. Yeah. Finally, they kept something secret on the show. Yeah, that's good.
They did a good job. They did something.
Yeah. I mean, so many of the spoilers. I mean, I remember whenever Murtaugh was alive, that I think it was Ron that spoiled it. So the fact that this was a huge one, and for it to actually come across as what could have been a surprise, especially in that kind of scene, I thought that was, I mean, an improvement, I suppose.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it was the only episode this season that I was like, oh, like I had like a surprise moment.
We need to talk about the way they introduced her too, like this big, huge bloodbath thing, and how just banana sandwich the entire scene was. Like having read the books, we all know that Galis is there and she's molesting and raping like young men, and that's a thing that she's doing, and she's trying to get some sort of like powerful information about the next King of Scotland or whatever. But
is that clear? Hold on, side note, the raping and like molesting, obviously she did something with Ian, but is that clear about the other stuff? I couldn't tell if I just knew that or if it was made clear enough.
In my mind, when I read the book, yeah.
Well, in the book, it's clear. Yeah. I wondered today, 7 minutes ago when I finished this episode, if it was clear.
I think
the men on the ship, yeah, it was clear. The men on the ship said she has a taste for young boys, or she likes young boys. So that was, I thought that was
I forgot about that line. Okay.
Yeah. And all the boys in the jail, they were saying they would just disappear after seeing her.
Okay.
Yeah, so and part of the reason that you're not. Go ahead.
Sorry, Beth. I'm sorry. I was eating a salad whenever that whole scene happened with Galis, and it was really like that meme where it was like, in front of my salad. It was like that as I was like, no, I can't, in front of my salad. I can't. This is disgusting. So I mean, in a much less graphic manner, relived that memory of that meme. Quite hilarious.
We're having weird audio stuff tonight.
Heidi, mute yourself.
We're all muted because nobody can figure out who's
sorry. So sorry.
Whose audio is messed up.
We think that was you this time, Heidi. But Beth, continue, because you were saying something when I jumped in, just asked that question to clarify about Galis.
Yeah. What I was going to say is that as part of the them not using the word Bakra is not gendering Galis. So when the soldier says, when the sailor says, the Bakra enjoys young boys, and Ian's like, no, like, for anybody who didn't know who the Bakra was or what was going to happen, the assumption, and Ian is making this assumption too, is that he's going to be sold to some dude to use or be used. And so that was, I think that they did a fairly good job keeping that secret and then having the reveal. But then the reveal, of course, to me, like, I think Galus was overly witchy. I think the bloodbath and all of that was a little overblown. I don't think they could possibly have made Lotta attractive and fat and gross the way that Diana does in the book. But I felt like a lot of that was way weird to me.
I was trying to get why she was saying that blood was good for her skin. Like, I was like, is she more than like something I know yet? Is she like so old that is she a Melisandre where her skin will just like disappear if she's not like taking this blood bath? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Anyway, I hope,
legitimately,
I'm really hoping it becomes like a long-term thing. So we'll talk about that later too, but
maybe if they like want her witchiness to be like a bigger deal, but like Matt Roberts put that in because he had been reading or watching Dracula, and Dracula takes like blood, like the blood and the irons and the proteins and stuff keep him fresh and young. And he just gave that trait to Lotta, or he asked like, how would you feel about like a literal bloodbath in terms of like keeping her young and being something she would do? And they were like, yeah, sure, that's probably something Galus would do. So that's why.
So it was just a weird thing to do and not like a character, hopefully a long-term character trait.
I don't think they're going to keep it going. I don't think it's going to be something they like keep on doing. I think that a little bit more witchy is good, but also I think it's interesting that Galus believes in the seer, and she believes in the prophecies, and she believes in like a lot more of the witchy stuff than Claire does, because we don't get a good sense that Claire understands anything about the time travel. And then of course Galus does. So I'm hoping that the next episode we get a good chunk of her being a little bit more crazy. Because the truth is, in this world, as much as it's like based in reality, it's not based in reality. And Galus has a better grasp of the magical aspects of that world than Claire does. And it does kind of make her crazy. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they use that, because in the book, this is where Claire learns all the things that she does learn about the stones. I don't think she ever even learns anything else about the stones from anybody else ever in the whole series. So she's about to learn a whole lot from crazy ass Galus.
V. Fraser on Twitter, again, second shout out for the night, says it's a full body version of those vampire facial that Kim K does. I mean, yeah. Anyway, it's gross.
But more expensive and creepier.
Right. And it gave them their boob quotient for the episode, because I think that Stars requires a certain number of boob or ass views every episode. Yeah.
Crazy.
Did you read what Joe just said about the corset? Like, Andy said it was crazy, but she was here for her like climbing out of the bloodbath, and she had a great body. And then Joe said, I was impressed by the corset later in the show because her boobs are so tiny. Yeah, I think that like Galus had different boobs before. And I know we always end up talking about boobs, or I do.
When they throw them in your face this much, you see a lot of boob.
I feel like the last time we saw Galus naked, her boobs were bigger. And I think it might have been prosthetic because she was also pregnant. I don't know. They did not, but different.
She looked great and had a very smooth complexion.
We had a question on Twitter from Jess, and then also I believe you kind of brought it up or questioned it in your recap, Nick, and that was Willoughby into Margaret, or did he just feel bad for her?
I saw a really good comment, and I wish I had it open so I could say who it was, but they responded back and said that they thought, I wasn't sure that it was like attraction. It was just somehow that they knew each other, or that I don't know, he just knew or was attracted to her, but not in a sexual way. Anyway, so the comment said that it was more a look of recognition, that maybe they knew each other from some other place or time, or so it's something that we might find out later. And I was like, oh, is this like a storyline I don't know? Because that would be really interesting.
I thought that it was a look of recognition of her, like her place, her I want to say career, but like her position. Like I think because coming from a more Eastern culture, obviously the East, he's coming from China, and that their culture would have been more in tune with mysticism and a little bit more in tune with something like seers and people who tell fortunes, and probably recognize that she has power and therefore should have a little bit of, she should have a lot more respect than she's being given. And so I think that that's what he's recognizing is this woman, because when he first sees her, she's giving that slave his fortune and she's being gentle and correct, and she's forthright with that guy. And I think that it's like looking at her and recognizing this is a woman who she should be commanding this room in terms of like her position and what she's capable of doing, and they're treating her horribly. And I think that's to me what it looked like. Like he just recognized that type of person as being somebody that he either knew or was, or people that he would have respected before.
Mm-hmm. I also took it as they're both kind of the sideshows of the party that everyone's like attracted to just for like freak of nature's sake. And he was like, oh my God, you are also like me, and that, you know, everyone's looking at you.
That's a good point.
And we're kind of in this together.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah, we just had the same question on Twitter. So if you're on Twitter and you're looking at, and we're answering stuff as you guys are kind of saying it as well. So
yeah.
I want to go back to Galus because I was really, really hoping that they're going to change her storyline and not kill her off immediately in the next episode. Not immediately, but in the next episode. And she could become like a really good villain if she is really out to kill Brianna and she becomes more of a main character and less of like telling Claire this is going to happen and this is how it works. And I was like, oh, that could be a really interesting way to make this more interesting. Increase the storyline. Like give us anything that like gives this story stakes instead of just killing everyone off every other episode.
I think that goes, am I echoing again? Is it better?
Yeah.
I think that goes back to the idea of adaptation. If this episode specifically felt more adaptive to me, and so I was really engaged with it from the very first second where they're on the island and you get to see Ian taken and all of his whole experience. And I was watching it going, why didn't we get this scene a few episodes back just spliced in there with Claire and Jamie and all of their stuff, because then the stakes would have been so much higher for why we cared about them finding Ian. Because honestly, the whole time I was like, really, is Ian worth all this trouble that they're going through, all the stuff that she's going through? Is this kid worth it? And that would have made it like, oh man, they got to get this kid. He's being raped by this woman and he's in danger. We got to get to this guy. So I thought, like you're saying, like keeping Galus alive or these kind of decisions that they could make with these books would make the show awesome and fun to watch. And it's just so disappointing that we don't get to see how they could have taken the story somewhere else instead of just seeing the story, which we love and that we like, just shown to us like a play rather than adapted into like a really engaging TV show.
And we could have more of a connection with Ian just for that point alone, because we really don't. Right? Like we haven't seen him much. Was he in one episode? I don't even remember. Before he was taken, that was such a quick thing. So it would kind of, yeah, if we had gotten to see where he was and like feel some sympathy for him, I think it would have gotten us like a little more. I mean, I kind of forgot they were going to get him, honestly. And I know the story.
And they could even brought up the Bakra earlier on, so we would have been like, who is this person? Mm-hmm. You know, and been really mysterious about it instead of bringing it up and 5 minutes later, there she is. You know, it's just all the tension is just sucked out of it whenever they do that. It's not like we have 20 or 30 or 200 pages to really delve into it and you're thinking about it. It's taking those 200 pages and turning it into 5 minutes instead of figuring out a way to weave a better narrative arc.
Yeah. And it makes it look like things are happening immediately and like, oh gosh, this just happened. Ian just ended up with Galus, and then they just saw Galus at this governor's mansion. Instead of weaving that narrative throughout, we could have seen Ian in Rose Hall, 2 episodes ago, and knowing that that's kind of where they're headed would, drive the narrative forward. I mean, it's the way everything else works, where you weave in and out of the different characters' lives in order to figure out how they're connected. And then when they come together, the stakes are higher, or it's more interesting. Instead of it just being Jamie and Claire's story, and they pop up and something's convenient here, and then they pop up here and something's convenient here. And we've really missed out on that. And I think that they definitely, as far as an adaptation goes, hitting much too close to the book. And to Nikki's point about Galus probably dying in this next episode, spoiler for those who don't read the books, but with the skeleton from 3 or 4, whenever that was, with Joe Abernathy, and the cave that they've mentioned now twice, there's no way they're not going to kill her in this next episode. It is a shame. It is a shame that we just found out about this prophecy thing, which I don't even remember from the book. Is that in the book? The Scottish throne prophecy and the 200-year-old baby?
I didn't remember, but it was a cool thing to bring out and could have become more of a storyline.
Right. But I guarantee you, it's not going to become a storyline for Galus, because she's going to kick it next episode. So it would be cool to see.
I don't remember anything. I don't remember that she dies. I don't remember anything. So I was thinking, is she going to go back to the future, have a baby, and bring it back, and it's going to be 200 years old?
I think
is that possible?
No,
is that
because they have to kill that baby. The prophecy is the baby who is 200 years old has to be killed. So the only baby that can be is Brianna or some other baby who is time traveled. So if you make Galus then into a villain who is after Brianna, it gives things stakes. It gives Claire a reason to hate her. It gives Claire a reason to go after her, to learn more about traveling. We could be going back and through stones and caves and trying to find each other in different parts of the world.
Okay.
The story gets more interesting. These characters become bigger when they develop these B stories of Galus, the slave guy who just shows up and then leaves, young Ian. They just kind of throw them in when it's necessary and then kill them off, instead of actually completely leaving Jamie and Claire and showing us the story of these B characters. But
and imagine if Frank was still alive and Claire's going back and forth and figuring out that that's what Galus is after, and Frank is alive in the 60s to head her off from doing something. Imagine how cool this show would get. Kind of time traveling nonsense going on, and at the same time, they're after Frank or Jamie and Claire's only daughter at the same time. That'd be so friggin' cool. It's not gonna happen, but it would be cool.
On Twitter, Andy Sings said, they showed Joe with the cave bones though, so can she live? Meaning Galus. Okay, if we remember, if you are not a book reader or just don't remember things like me, we saw in the surgery room or whatever, they were just randomly looking at bones back in the 60s. But there was no context. Did she know that was? I remember her knowing something about it, but thinking it was weird.
She she
knew
she has a feeling that she knows, but she doesn't know in the 60s. She ends up killing. Spoiler alert! Don't listen to me. She ends up killing her in the cave, because she finds out that she knows about Brianna. Blah 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 blah. But if they could kill her in that cave, but just way later. They don't need to do it in the next episode. Build the stakes of the show. Kill her later.
Yeah, we totally spoiled that.
It's more exciting.
Because I forgot. You spoiled it for me.
They could potentially do that, not kill her in the next episode. They could potentially do that. And the thing is we know that she dies by, Claire says the bones, you can tell that she's been murdered, right? So there's that aspect of it. And just even the fact that we're trying to connect something that, random show watchers would not have connected at this point. I'm concerned about how they're going to do all of that in this next episode. So we'll see. But it's a conundrum. Obviously Claire's going to she's going to learn a lot in the next episode. from Galus, and there's going to be some stuff going on. But again, Galus just popped up just now. She just popped back up, and she is literally the end point of this season in terms of like she's the big bad at the end of this season. Mm-hmm. She's the baddie, and that's, I mean, that is some crazily like handled narrative. I mean, I can't imagine going 11 episodes before I introduced my villain for the season. I can't.
Yeah.
I
Who
don't
introduces the villain in the second to last episode? I don't get it.
Unless they're going to be the villain in the next season.
That's why I'm hoping. That was always crossing my fingers for, and I really hope they do it. But I don't have that much faith.
No. It's not going to happen.
If we see them show a clip of Joe looking at those, or them talking about those bones, and that this is what happened last week, we will know immediately that she dies.
Yes.
Immediately. Yes. There's no point in even watching those. I hate those things.
And Jamie is arrested. That's also got to be resolved next week.
Ugh. How many times? Honestly, how many times?
So somebody, I think it was Jess again.
I was telling...
who is not a book reader. She said something like, are there these many coincidences in the books? Maybe it happens in the book like that. She said, it's like every 5 seconds. And I said, well, yes, but also it's like 200 pages in between them. But yeah, these are things that actually happen in the book.
But the way they split it up so that it happened at the end of each episode this season made it, I mean, I just got my hair done on Friday. And when I saw my hairstylist, she's this adorable Brazilian girl, and we were talking, and she was randomly talking about Outlander. She had no idea I had any connection to the show. She's like, what do you think? And I was like, I like it. We watch it. We talk about it. And she goes, are they ever just happy together, or are they always being torn apart? And I was like, oh, that's really interesting, because she hasn't read the book. She's only watched the show, and she's been really frustrated with this season because they can never just be together. They're always being torn apart. She's like, I don't even know if I can keep watching, because it's just like I watched it to see if Jamie and Claire are together, and he just keeps getting arrested. So it was a really interesting perspective.
Especially because when you're reading the books, you're kind of like, oh, yay, they're together. And then sometimes when they're together for a long period of time, it's boring. Like The Gathering, which is like the beginning of book 5, is like this lengthy amount of time where they're just together, and you're like, oh, is something going to happen? It's not like Claire, fixing
Can you get arrested again?
It's like, it's kind of awful. So, I mean, yeah, it's a dichotomy, guys. We don't really know what we want.
Yeah, it's kind of, in most TV shows and a lot of stories, they don't ever keep the main characters together just because it's not interesting. But I think they could write an interesting story if you pair Jamie and Claire together on a mission and stop breaking them apart by like these faux arrest attempts.
They should let us write an episode. We'll call it The Mission. And we'll
The Mission.
have like a mission for them to
buddy cop movie with.
It'll be fun. It'll be a good time.
You know what it wouldn't have in it? It wouldn't have whitewashing slavery and a young boy being raped by an older woman. But I mean, I guess we can do something else fun.
Yeah,
like, how about our two white protagonists use at least two different people of color to like achieve their own selfish ends in this episode? One of the things that when we talk about adaptation that I saw the showrunner say about this episode was the slave market, and why that scene is even in this episode. It's not a good scene in the book. Nobody likes it. Yes, we see Claire be like conflicted. Obviously, she hates that this is happening, but she's like impotent to do anything about the slaves. But at the same time, did we really need her to attack the slave owners and Jamie to purchase the slave for her, and for them to then use him, even though they said they were going to free him, use him for their own ends, and then, be the ones to see him off to freedom or whatever? Like,
the only reason I could see that working is if they had him on the boat, like on the Bruges with Ian 3 episodes ago, and we knew this character and we cared about him, and we were like, thank God they're saving this guy. And that would have made me, otherwise they're just using him. They were using him for a plot device, and it was offensive.
Yes,
yeah, and the language that Jamie uses, like, we're gonna free you, but you have to help us, essentially. No, if you're going to
Mhm.
free him, you're going to free him.
Right.
Write
Let
him into the
maybe-
story into a place that it makes sense. That's really smart, Heidi. That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
And
Give
like,
that character a reason to like have a reason to want to help them as well. Like give him and Ian
Mhm.
like something that makes him want to help them find Ian, not just something that he's doing so they'll free him. It's bananas.
And write him in longer, that he stays with them after they find Ian. He becomes a part of the story.
Why
That's
couldn't
how
he
you
have
make
been-
the slavery storyline more human to me.
why couldn't he have been the guy that was in the prison or the cell with Ian? Why did that guy have to be a different guy? We just needed a little more diversity this episode. Like, I don't understand.
I think because she kills those boys.
Okay, have another one. Make one of them
Yeah.
she doesn't kill. Like, I just,
Yeah.
you know.
But like what Heidi is saying and what I think is important to see in it is if they had taken the less linear narrative path, like the more normal way to tell a story versus like just adapting each section of Voyager into an episode or two, then we would have seen this guy a long time ago. It would have been far easier to see how he was important. The same way that, we've been talking about Leslie and Hayes, who are, not Angus and not Rupert, not being people we care about. Like I'm barely starting to recognize their faces.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, except this time it's much worse because he was only in the episode for 5 minutes. He's Black, he's a slave, and we never see him again. And they used him for their own ends. It's a terrible way to use that aspect of a book that they actually didn't have to use at all. Like if they're going to talk about slavery and use that as for part of the story, then use it in a smart, considerate way and not, again, like you've said several times, as a plot device.
Can we move on to a really positive thing and talk about Lord John Grey? Because I think we're all on that. We're shipping that.
Yeah, we
We're on
are.
the Lord John train.
We're on the train. We're standing. We're doing all the internet things.
He's the best.
Yeah, he's great. I agree. He's great. He was given the hard eyes. He was selling it, like the awkwardness. When his face fell whenever he saw Claire standing behind Jamie, it was like he was like, "Oh no!" It's like whenever you see like that your celebrity crush has had a wife and a baby, you're like, no, like you can't do this to me. We have a whole life in my head together. And it was just, he was great. He's fantastic. He's wearing that sapphire on like a little bookmark in his pocket. He's adorable. He's taking care of Willie for him, which, I mean, I know I'm being very 21st century, but the fact that he's taking care of his Willie for him it was a little like phallic. Like, could I call him William? I don't know. But yeah, he's great. I adore him. I mean, I'm already on the Rick Rankin train, so add me to the Lord John Grey too. They're great.
Yeah,
Good.
he was so great. The chemistry between him and Jamie was awesome. I mean, I know that people are like wanting him and Claire well, Beth has said we'll let her say the things that she would, all the fantasy she has between the two of them. But I was like feeling the Jamie and Lord John thing. Like Jamie looked good in that wig. Like
we're having a lot of requests to talk about Jamie's wig and how good it was. It did look good on him.
It looked good. I mean,
It was his best wig moment of the
I
entire
didn't even
series.
recognize. I was like, oh my god, he's wearing a wig, and I mean,
And it's not hideous.
It's not hideous. It just worked, and it's a white, weird George Washington wig. Is this what guys look like? This is hot. I can get into this.
Totally.
It was strange because the powdered wig should be really, really the worst look. And it's
Totally.
one of his best.
That was his best look. It's like the upside down version of Outlander. He looks better as George Washington than he does with his ugly curly wig.
I have to say this, the reason I was not, as much as I love like a male-male romance, the reason I was not into John Grey and Jamie in this episode is because when they're seeing each other, David Barry is doing such a good job. Like he wants to touch him. He like moves forward, he wants to like embrace him. And like Jamie's eyes are kind of like welling with tears and they have like this, like their voices get thick. And so it's great. But comparatively, like I know they made Jamie look like he was sunburned and everything. David Barry is so much more attractive than Sam to me in this episode. I mean, eons hotter. And so I was like, oh no, John, you're too good. You're too good for Jamie. Like you look too handsome. You're too cute. Like, what I really like was anticipating was like this like major like hate fuck moment between like Claire and Lord John. Like they're like, he's mine, and then they just like clash. That's what I wanted to see. Thought it would have been really cool. Yeah, I thought he was too cute. He was too cute for Jamie in this moment. He looked better than Sam, and I'm gonna get roasted for that, but it's very true.
I mean, I think he did too, but I mean, there's always got to be one better looking. So I'm fine with it. I'm into them. I'm shipping Sam and David Barry. Is that his name? Did I do a good job?
That's his name.
Remembering an actor's name? Good.
You did a good job.
Pat him on it.
And I think that it's cool that, I mean, I think that they were playing a lot of subtext in this one. Like I was dreading the moment when like Claire came in with the voiceover. So this was the man who did it. You know, like I could see it coming and I was like, oh, please God, no, just keep it being subtle. Keep it subtle. And it was. And you could even see the moment when like knows that Jamie has told her that he's gay and that he's like gone after him. Like you can tell that they both know that they know. And that, I mean, that's a really great subtextual moment that they played really well. And kudos to David Barry and Katrina because they were just doing it really well. And Sam, on the other hand, just looked weather beaten and like an old mitt.
An old mitt with a wig on.
Fun in that in these scenes.
I'm catching up on the Twitter. It's great. Yeah, everybody's in agreement. They love Lord John. And
he was great.
Yeah, he was great. But people didn't like Gaelis's wig in that scene. It was pretty bad. That was bad.
It was horrific. There were like gaps on the side of it. Like you could see
it. There's this picture of it. I'm going to retweet it right now. It's horrible.
But it's her wig. Like in the reality of the show, it's a wig.
Right, that's true.
It's not supposed to be her hair.
Wig, yeah.
Still, there's a huge gap.
I know, but I think that in that context, they were all, you know, the wealthier you were, the bigger, the more extravagant, the more obvious your wig was. I think that like Claire's not wearing a wig and that we can tell. And I think that it's, you know, in some ways it shows like her lesser status to some degree. So I think that it's meant to be obviously a wig.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I get the context, but just make it look good. You're on TV. I don't need it to be like historically accurate. I just want it to look good because I'm watching it as a show.
I think it was strange how she looked. I think the whole episode she looked odd. I felt like she had, you know, she did not look like the same character from season 1, which makes sense. Again, you know, it's 20 years later. She lives in a different era, but like, something about the way Gaelis looked was just off for me the whole time. Her face just looked really strange.
Do you think it's the actress? Like, do you think that she just looks different now? It's been a couple of years.
Maybe, and maybe it just wasn't as she wasn't as realistic looking. I mean, she just didn't look like a real person. I felt like everything about her looked strange. And I have a story about Lotta once. Like, I was eating outside at this little place in San Diego, and she was eating with Tobias and Diana and Katrina over like right next near me. And my friend that I was with, we were just like laughing because she had this big scarf and like was keeping the sun off of her. And then like as they talked, like she would move and keep the sun off of her, just like with her scarf over her head. And I was like, she is dedicated. Like super dedicated, like she's anti-freckle. It wasn't even that sunny. Well, it was San Diego, but like still, it was just pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's what I thought about when I was watching this episode, like how dedicated she is to her skincare.
Hey, I mean, her skin looks amazing, so.
Yeah, she's pale AF.
Yeah.
Her forehead was so high and it looked good, but it just was like, just looked kind of otherworldly. Maybe that was on purpose too.
Jess said that Gaelis was blonde and she had red hair in seasons 1 and 2. I don't remember that.
Yeah, her hair was definitely lighter, like more strawberry blonde in this episode than the pictures from season 1. They definitely dyed it darker in that season or something.
I mean, I think redheads, they tend to get lighter and get more blonde. They get like less red and more blonde as they get older anyway. So I think that was pretty accurate but like no character, I've never seen a character that has like consistent hair and consistent hair consistency and color from a season to a season, even from movie to movie to movie. Like if you're in the Twilight Saga, like your hair is not the same from one movie to the next. So it doesn't bother me that her hair was different.
So I have a question about Galis. When they were talking about having the baby and how she was in the thieves' hole, and then Dougal came and got the baby away. I know what happens in the books, but was in the show, do you think they were trying to set you up for something there? Or do you think that was just like filling air the way that they do sometimes in conversations? Or were we supposed to, as viewers, go, I wonder what happened to that baby through history?
I think they were setting it up to be like, hey, there's now a baby of Galis and Dougal running around in the Highlands, and they haven't introduced this, and clearly it's going to be a plot point. Right. I hope people grabbed that.
I got that too, and I don't remember either. I don't know, or I'm going to be pleasantly surprised, or I just forget, because I basically forget everything from here on out.
I love that you don't remember anything.
I don't remember anything.
Like to remember.
That was not hard. All right, I'm going to think really hard, but I'm pretty sure the only person I remember
with the same last name
is Steve.
Do you know anybody else with the last name McKenzie?
McKenzie.
Nope.
Come on.
God.
He might be real big character at the beginning of the season.
Oh, yeah. Duh. Okay,
yes.
I got it. I thought you were talking. Okay. I get it now.
I'm gonna say it.
I'm not going to say it. Does everybody else know watching the show? I don't want to spoil it. Am I the only dumb one?
Yes.
Oh,
we'll have everyone.
Obviously, it's a Roger. I remember that, but I thought you were saying somebody's running around that we're never going to meet Roger's ancestor. You're saying
we should
don't care about that person, or maybe Roger will. Oh, I do remember.
Don't they?
Yeah, I think they might later in the books. I don't remember, but like that, it's a son or something that Dougal has. I assume, yeah.
Yeah, and I believe the son and Roger meet up at some point.
Yeah,
but
probably.
I also haven't read that far, so.
Me either. I don't have time for that, guys. I don't know.
Yeah, all right. Okay, well, I didn't forget that part. I just was thinking specifically about who the person was in the modern, not the modern time, the 1700 time. And I don't remember that person or care.
Yeah, that's okay. We need to talk a little bit about the Jamie and Claire moment in this episode, because there was one moment that was sweet. Did we already talk about it when I missed it when I was going to get my charger?
No.
Is that the part where they're giving each other the eyes when they're waiting for Lord John Grey?
Yes, and it lasted a small eternity.
Yeah, it was pretty hot. It was good.
Just enough time for the just enough time for the theme music to come on to go like, pay attention. Jamie and Claire giving each other
Here's
sex
their
eyes.
theme song.
Yeah.
They still like
we did
each
it
other.
for you right here. They didn't kiss or have sex in this episode, but they looked at each other for 15 seconds. Woohoo!
Well, then the other thing was when he's getting arrested for the millionth time, he hands her pictures.
Yes, and he says the portraits of the children.
Portraits, yeah. Which was interesting because
yeah,
gonna be important. They showed it. It's gonna be important.
That was interesting. I mean, I don't know why. Like, I guess they just didn't want it to get lost in whatever's going to happen. But like, it doesn't seem like.
What does he have of Willie?
He has that little portrait, like someone painted.
A miniature. He has a little miniature of him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it must have been important. I don't know what. Someone's going to find it. Someone's going to see the picture of Brianna and like, no wonder what this is. And then there's a zipper that we saw last episode, and
they're going to burn her.
It's Claire's bones in the cage. But then she comes back to life, because that will be how it happens, because it's Outlander and you can do those things.
Yeah, they'll be worried about the lady. They'll be worried about her zipper, but not the lady bathing in goat's blood.
Yeah, exactly.
She's a witch.
Yeah, like how have the slaves not like been like, we got to get out of here at this, like at that point, like you think they'd just be like, this lady crazy, we got to go. That's what I would say. Be out of there. And she says that they're all like really loyal to her. And why is she looking for just 3 sapphires amongst everything? She knew there were 3 sapphires in there. I don't understand. I don't understand the entire thing.
Do we get confirmation
The
who has the sapphire? It's Lord John?
Lord John has the sapphire. So the
Did she
prophecy
steal
is
it?
that the seer has to have the 3 sapphires to tell the prophecy. So the treasure box only had 2 sapphires because Jamie stole the one to take back to Lord John in the prison to prove to him whatever. Lord John makes his beautiful man bookmark jewelry, and Gala sees it after young Ian tells him that his uncle Jamie has it. She puts 2 and 2 together and then gets the fortune read, aka the prophecy.
Oh, so that's how she got it. I thought she needed it
That's
for the
how she got the
stones.
prophecy.
That was the actual prophecy. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched it like 5 times.
Yeah,
guys.
and
Took
then
me that long.
yeah, it sure sounds like it. And Lord John had that back forever ago. So that was stolen season 2?
No.
That's this season?
No, earlier
Yeah.
in this season
Oh
when
my
he
gosh,
was at the prison.
Forever ago.
It was forever.
It was a while ago. Yeah. But I mean, it was a weird, very specific thing for her. I mean, I realized that she needed it for whatever prophecy she wanted. I don't know where the prophecy came from. I don't know where you got to have the 3 sapphires. I don't understand any of that.
Mm-mm.
And like, it was just very odd for her to be so adamant about it when the rest of, how did she know every little thing that was in that box? I mean, I guess because it was hers, but I still think that was a stretch for her to be so specific about one specific jewel when there was like a couple of emeralds in there. I saw them as she's like digging through and not finding what she wants. Like,
right.
Well, she said Dougal showed it to her. She said something to that effect. Someone tweet us and tell us why she knows. But anyway, Dougal showed her this because it was the Mackenzie family jewels. And so apparently she somehow knew, probably from her crazy Scotland love, that she needed the 3 specific sapphires. It was very convoluted, and most like any viewer probably wouldn't like this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Do you guys think that Dougal was really into having Gallus's feet in his face? Since she kept doing that to Ian.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what the bedroom was like, because that was so gross, and everyone has tweeted us that they were super turned off by it.
And for her to like start her whole like, hello, I'm here with her foot in the air. Like, it was just it was very specific. And I felt like it was like a nod to Willoughby.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Feet.
Yeah. And the prophecy, remember, I forget things that I even just watched. Andy tweeted her favorite thing about HangOutlander is how much I forget. But it's true. I forget a lot of things. The prophecy was the one about the king.
Yeah.
When the next Scottish king
so she just
rise.
literally is just so obsessed with the king. That's why she's in the past. Her goal is to
part
change
of the
history.
Scotland National Party. She's such a Scottish stan. It seems like a lot to really go this crazy.
Your whole life, like,
especially when you think about the fact that the queen of the monarch of Scotland in the time that Galus like is still the monarch of Scotland right now. Like,
what do you mean?
In the 60s, it's Queen Elizabeth II, and it's still Queen Elizabeth II in the present. And so that prophecy sounds like some trash, just some total trash.
Does Galus, I don't know, has Galus gone forward or backward to any other time, or she's only done this one trip back?
Just the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was watching it going, what? How does she not know?
Yeah, I think she, I guess maybe what she's going to end up telling Claire about travel is Claire's going to be like, that ain't true, because Claire's been like, I've been back and forth. Because everything she learned is like through lore or whatever, she's obviously afraid that it's not going to work. She needs to get the blood of young virgins in her body in order to make it through again or something.
And what time frame is she from? The 60s?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Remember, Brianna and Roger meet her or see her in like 68. Right. And that's right before she goes.
Yeah.
She's actually younger than Claire. IRL.
Right.
So pretty cool.
V. Fraser said Diana has a foot fetish quota she has to fill in every book, but took out Willoughby's, so they had to add it back in somehow. So Diana has a foot fetish quota, while Stars just has like a tits and ass quota they have to fill.
Diana
Stars
also
has
has a gay Jamie lover quota
Right.
too.
And
How many gay men can she write in?
Getting arrested quota in Voyager.
Yeah, is there more foot stuff? Oh, there is more foot stuff.
I don't remember. But I do. Let's talk about just real quick, or I'll just say a phrase and nobody else can say anything else if we don't want to. But it was an asshole move, and I'm glad that Claire was like, "You're arresting him, and here I am the reason you're alive." And like you could tell for a second, he was like, "Oh yeah," but then he didn't give a shit. Which that's, to be fair, was terrible.
Yeah, it was a good argument, but it didn't hold water for him. So, oh well. There goes Jamie. She didn't try very hard. And they weren't like even like, bye. I'll never see you again. It was nice. It's nice to have these couple of days from turtle soup to right now. And you looked pretty with that flower in your hair. I'll never see you again. Adios.
All right, we have a winner. Although we're questioning whether we've picked you before. So if we did, please be honest and we'll pick somebody else. But our winner for this week on Twitter is Vicky Fraser, which is either your real name and you just happen to be a fan of a guy with the last name Fraser, or it's not your real name. So like last week, it was so funny that I won't say her real name, but the girl who won's Twitter name is Jess, and that is not her real name in real life. I was surprised.
Her name's not Jess?
No, it's nothing close to Jess.
Is she a fan of New Girl? Well, why is her name Jess on Twitter?
I don't know. I didn't ask her. We didn't discuss that at all. We just discussed if she likes to drink.
It's actually James Comey's Twitter handle. We've just blown open a huge scandal, guys. We figured it out. Viral.
Jess, I can't even find it. So yeah, V, tweet us to confirm that you haven't won before, and then email us at admin@that's-normal.com with your real name and your address, and we'll get you out something fabulous.
Yay.
So one more episode, guys.
Should we say one thing we really hope they do in the next episode? Or do we care?
I hope.
I hope we get to see. I'm sorry. I hope we get to see like a catch up on everybody. Like I hope we get to see a little bit of back in Boston, a little bit of what's going on maybe in Scotland with everybody freaking out about Ian being gone. I want to see all those storylines that we've just completely busted and broken be at least addressed so that we have something to look in going into like a year from now, maybe whenever they play it again, whenever the next season comes out, who knows? Because it just, that's what I'm looking for.
People we know who are alive.
Yeah.
Murtaugh.
Yeah.
Blackjack. Like, could we see like something that's like, oh my God, I forgot about him. He's alive. Remember Culloden, guys? That was this season. Can you believe it? Feels like forever ago. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I specifically Roger and Bree, as much as I don't really care about the actress that plays Sophie, I think that seeing them, like remembering that we care about them, would be great. And Rick Rankin. Who doesn't want to see Rick?
Yeah, that's not going to happen. We're not going to see any of those people.
You are the worst person.
I'm just saying. I would prefer that the rescue of Ian really take place with the characters that we care about. Like I want to see Willoughby have a good way to make that happen. Maybe even the Margaret Campbell helping him out that helps Claire. I want to see them like have a real a storyline that isn't just Claire kind of chancing upon the way to free Ian all on her own and the way to free Jamie all on her own. But that requires her to be dependent on some of the other people that they, that are a part of their little entourage. So Fergus and Marsley and Willoughby and Margaret Campbell. And I just want to see like some working together to make things happen.
I've already told you what I want to see. I want to see them raise the stakes and actually keep a character that matters around longer than an episode or an episode and a half. Make Galis into an actual villain. Take her into season 3. She doesn't have to be Stephen Bonnet, the real villain. Or season 4 that's coming up, but give her some shine and then kill her off. Make it more interesting. I would also like to see Brianna and Roger and all these other people that we've lost episodes ago that were thrilling and fun to see, and I've forgotten them.
Jana, RPW, one of our writers, would like to see one last sexy time before Outlander. I mean, yeah, they better give us that. And fun fact, our winner, V. Fraser's name is Victoria Cameron Fraser.
Ah, a real Fraser.
Okay, anyway,
a real Scott.
A real Fraser in our myths.
A real Scott. I'm going to continue to be a Debbie Downer. There's no way there's sex in the next episode.
Why do you haven't seen it yet?
I mean, when?
When did they?
They made such a big deal about turtle soup. That's going to be it, guys. Like, you got turtle soup, you're done.
It needs to be a longer episode, but I feel like it's not, because they're not going to show all this
There
stuff.
was a rumor. There was a rumor that it was going to be an extra long episode, but it is not. It's a regular sized episode.
I know where we could have taken the time from when Claire was in the jungle for 20 minutes last episode. That could have been
slave
it.
market.
Or slave market, sure.
Or the people throwing up on the porpoise.
Yeah, we could have taken 3 minutes, and that's it. That would have been easy. Easily taken 3 minutes out of the last 10 episodes and given them an extra 30 to give us
whole
some sexy
scene with
time.
Hayes. The whole scene with Hayes on the ship, that could have gone. The
I
have to say something that's not related to anything else. I don't know who's echoing with my voice. I'm sorry. I apologize. But why was the governor's party so brightly lit? It is nighttime in a primitive new world. And it looked like the set of that Turkish soap opera that I used to watch. Guys, it was so bright. There's no way that light could have naturally happened at night inside, no matter what kind of glass they had going on or what kind of, it was like hospital lights in there. Was Jesus hanging out on the roof and like letting his glory shine in on the parlor? Because that's the only way it could have been as brightly lit as it was. That is
even that. I don't even think Jesus could have done that.
Legitimately, that was the worst set lighting I've ever seen on this show. Terrible.
It was insanely bright. I was taking a screen cap of that and I was like, why is that really bright? And it felt, that section among anything else, the interior felt like a set when I was screen capping. I was like, if they panned up like 1 more inch, that's the top of the set. Like, it just looked incredibly fake.
Definitely. And it was like all those scenes were done in like Edinburgh. They weren't like South Africa scenes. Regardless, it was,
they couldn't have taken all those costumes that far down. Ask Ron.
Somebody watch the producers.
Oh, man.
Ron talking costume gossip.
It was ridiculous. And it like took me out of the whole, and it was such a huge part of the episode. I was like, have they never seen like a good Jane Austen adaptation? Like, even in the, the 19th
even
century,
like a BBC adaptation doesn't have to be good.
They know that it's not that bright. It's not that bright in my living room right now, and I have LEDs up there.
Julie says in the summer it's bright till 11. Julie on YouTube, but I feel like Jamaica is farther down in the hemisphere, so it wouldn't be bright at 11. But even then, they would literally have to have the party outside.
It's a funny thing.
They walk in the dark.
It's a funny thing for us to complain about, though, since we complain about being too dark all the time.
All the time. And there was totally a moment of that this week that was like, I couldn't see it. I was making some dinner. I was looking at my computer and I'm like, wait a second, what's happening? It's too dark. I can't actually see.
I don't care. I need it not to be that unrealistic.
There's some great
unrealistic.
There are some great comments happening on Twitter with the HangOutlander hashtag. You got to look. People saying what they could have cut to give us sexy times, just like all of episode 10, that undressing scene, like things we've forgotten to mention. So
Please keep tweeting that. If we get enough, we should do a whole post of just what should have been cut in
So that we
favor
can
of
have more
better storylines.
yeah, so we can have more sex and bring back like a recap of what everyone's been up to. Here are these people you paid this season.
Oh gosh.
Oh, all right. Well, next week, last episode of HangOutlander.
We
Same
made it.
place, same time, internet, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Some other time in between this in the states, in those in between states.
Shut up.
I don't know. I don't understand it. There's
It's
Mountain
9
Time,
o'clock in the
Arizona
the biggest time zone, the most important time zone, the central time zone.
What about
It's
Indiana
9.
time? Isn't there like a random farmer's time out there?
I have no idea what it's like in Arizona. I have no idea what time it is
There's
right now.
Arizona
in
time.
Time is me right now.
Because it doesn't change in Arizona.
Doesn't
Why are we
change.
talking? Yeah. Speaking
We're
of
the
things
best.
that could
We
have
were
been
the
cut,
best.
this. Nikki, we're the best.
We're the
sitting in
best. I
Southern
don't even live there
California.
anymore.
I
Yeah, so
don't
we'll
care
be
what you
here.
guys say. Central time's the biggest.
Congratulations.
You're welcome. I'm glad. I'm happy about it.
This episode's gone off the rails.
Yes,
I'm sorry if you're listening.
So congrats to B. Fraser for winning. Good recap this week, Nikki, and we'll see you guys next week.
Adios.
Good night.